It has no useful function, no apparent use, and no present function in thought. And it used to house our tail way back when we used a thing. And it's just ridiculous. But nevertheless, it's in the books today, it's being taught. Well, now that says it has no useful function. This thing says it has no useful function, no apparent use. And it's simply not true. We were doing a meeting in Wilmington, Delaware, and we met little Ashley Murray. She was born without a coccyx. Her parents had to take her out of school because she could no longer handle the mental abuse of going to school because she has to wear a diaper every day of her life. She can't play leapfrog and dodgeball like the other kids and such, so they would tease her and ridicule her. So they took her out of school. Well, she's just as normal as anybody else in this room. She's just missing a vital part of her body. But folks, because you can live without something, that doesn't mean you didn't use it while you had it. It's a ridiculous argument, but it's in the textbooks these days. It's amazing. And they all say the same thing. The evolution of the heart, the evolution of the circulatory system, the evolution of the nervous system, the evolution of the... for any one part of any one of those systems to come together, blind, random chance and work, is preposterous in my mind. Much less the entire package come together and actually work. Now, people are free to believe it was just a big, giant accident that took place. Well, they can believe it if they want. But then what would simply be wrong with saying, I believe that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, just exactly the way the Bible says.
You have no evidence of it.
The reality is, nobody was here to see life start. Everybody takes by faith.
Abiogenesis is not evolution.
Everybody takes by faith. Everybody takes by faith. Open-mindedness, you see. Anyway, everybody takes by faith how things started. But yet, where does the science lie after that point, you see? Nevertheless, design testifies that there's a designer. Now, folks, I'm not an intelligent design guy, okay, so don't misunderstand or anything. But yet, the truth is still the truth. If there's design, there's a design. Let's look at some really, really complex.
How does the designer evolve?
Jesus.
Yeah, have that cop come in here. Come deal with these two guys right here, if you don't mind, sir. This woman and this lady right here in the purple. They need to be removed, I think. The guy on the end right here, and the lady in the purple right next to
How Christian of you.
Anyway, let's take a look at some really, really complex things. Thank you, sir. Let's take a look at these buttons, okay? Now think about a button for just a minute. A button is... Think about a button. A button, most buttons, wherever the material houses a button, usually on the far other end of that material, there is a slit that happens to be the perfect size for that button to fit in. It's an incredible thing. Most buttons are round. There is actually a reason for that. You can attach that button however you want, and it'll fit through the hole that's there, and it'll open out wide, lock down tight. Most buttons have 4 holes. There's actually a reason for that. You can stitch it in a way that it holds firm, and it doesn't just flop around. Most buttons, where the thread attaches the button to the material, it's recessed. It sits back in a recessed cavity. You can rub on that button all day long. You're not going to break the thread down. Do you realize, folks, something as simple as a button clearly shows design. But then people look at their eyeball and say that was an accident. Just blind random chance showed up. Well, they're free to believe it, but, doesn't seem to fit the evidence. How about these laser pens? These things are really pretty cool. There's a clip on this thing. If I had a pocket, I could put it in a pocket. Bought a shirt without a pocket. I didn't know it till it was too late, man. I'm going to sew me a pink pocket on this thing just to have a pocket. But anyway, but you can put it in your pocket and it won't fall out. There's a cap on the back of this thing. You unscrew the cap and there's a tube in there that happens to be the perfect size for 2 AAA batteries. You can put it in a hand, and the thumb will come down right on a red little button, punch the button, and there comes the red light. Something as simple. Anybody and everybody can see there's design to this thing. Somebody designed this thing with a purpose in mind, and it suits that purpose just fine. Now think about it, folks. Let's suppose there's a painting, a signing of the Declaration of Independence up here. Now I see the painting. I don't know who painted it. Maybe I don't care who painted it. Maybe I want to know who painted it. Maybe it's irrelevant to me who painted it. But what I feel about the painter does not deny his existence. Do you realize the fact that the painting exists is the testimony there's a painter? And we could even show this as science. We could turn this room into an art science class, and we could have 20 stations all ready to go. They've got a palette, the canvas, the easel, paints, and everything, but we've only got 19 students. Okay, on station number 20, there's nobody there. All right? But yet, an hour class goes on, and the bell rings, everybody goes home, and over on station number 20, where there was nobody there, there's a beautiful painting in the morning sitting there. Now, anybody's free to believe the painting showed up, blind, random chance, on its own, as an accident last night if they want to. People are free to believe whatever they want. But the clear testimony from the other 19 stations dictate and demand it takes a painter to produce the painting. Anybody is free to believe in the face of the evidence anything they want to. But the evidence confirms it takes a painter to produce that painting. You know, now here's the deal. We're in a building. I didn't see this building being built. I have not seen one single picture of the construction of this building. But I do know one thing. There was a builder. Why? The building is the testimony that there's a builder. Folks, if there's a farm out there, the testimony is there's a farmer somewhere. Whether you know him, whether you care who he is, whether you desperately desire to know him, whether it doesn't matter one bit to you. That's not the question. The issue is, folks, there is a farmer there. The testimony of the farm is there. If there's a creation, there's a creator in a lot of people's minds. People are free to not believe it. People say, well, there's a world, so there's evolution. Well, they're taking the same thing. They're just wanting to eliminate God out of the picture. And it's just sad. Anyway, these textbooks these days, many of them are not only saying evolution is a fact, but they're ridiculing creation. They're ridiculing the Bible. They're ridiculing God and such. Raven Johnson biology textbook. In the chapter Evidence for Evolution, they have a whole section entitled Scientific Creationism. I had this book here last night that it's used all over the country. People come up to me all the time and say, "This is my book I'm using." Look what it says here. It says, scientific creationism implicitly denies the intellectual basis of science itself. Now understand, if you're a creationist, you're denying the intellectual basis of science. Well, I would dare say that's not a true statement. But I would say it certainly reveals a worldview. Do you realize, folks, the fact is there are two worldviews, and the worldview matters. You just can't get around it. But nevertheless, they say over the years, creation, since 1999, I mentioned that a little bit. I'll show you some more here tonight. Creation evolution has become a big deal in this country because more and more people are becoming aware of the issues and realizing some of the issues, the problems and such. But anyway, a lot of science publications have been writing articles about it and whatnot, and in court systems. We'll get to that here in a minute. But nevertheless, they say that our ideas cannot be tested in any meaningful way. Now, folks, that is simply not true. People say, I got to see proof. The Bible has no proof to it. Well, again, not once or twice, not even 3 or 4 times, not even 5, 6 or 7 or 8. Not even 9 times, but 10 times in just the first chapter of the Bible. God says everything reproduces after his kind. Now, I would dare say we've got some tests to show that. I think I can make a testable prediction here. You know what? You could raise some bunny rabbits, and they're going to give birth to bunny rabbits. You could raise some kitty cats. They are going to give birth to kitty cats. You could plant some tomato seeds. You're going to get a tomato plant to grow there. And on that tomato plant, you're going to have tomatoes growing. They say here, when experimentation results in the same conclusions over and over again, you may develop a theory that explains your conclusions. A theory is an explanation of things or events based on many observations. Hypotheses that have been tested over and over again and cannot be shown to be false support theories. Well, I wonder if we've got any testing and observation. I wonder if we have, I dare say we do. Plant some tomatoes, you're going to get some tomatoes. They're going to grow tomatoes on there. You take one, slice it open, get a seed, put it in the ground, water it, sunshine, here comes another tomato. Folks, that is not an accident. That is, thus saith the Lord. What God said is, in fact, the way the evidence comes down. My grandpa died at 104. The dude lived forever just about. Just prior to him dying, we were with him, and he was fine. He got some kind of weird whatever going on. But anyway, he was an amazing fellow. But when he was 101, his local newspaper did an article on him. 101-year-old, still climbing trees, making the rounds. I mean, my grandpa's around forever, man. He was an incredible fellow. But we would always go back and visit family, at least once a year. And we used to love to go raid Grandpa's garden, man. He was just awesome. But he was a strange fellow. He was around longer than airplanes, but so I don't know, maybe it was different for most people, but he was just weird. I don't know, something about him. Every time he planted corn, he got corn to grow there. It's the craziest thing I think I've ever seen in my life. If he planted peppers, here come the peppers. It was weird. Folks, that is not an accident. That is, thus saith the Lord. That is what the Bible declares, written thousands of years ago. It's not a textbook that's misprinted today. It's written thousands of years ago. The evidence still falls there. You're going to get what you plant. Hey, plant yourself some cars. Maybe you get some cars. You never know these days. Probably not that one. That's probably the limit to this thing. But nevertheless, hey, if you have giraffes, I wonder if they're going to give birth to giraffes. Hey, you know what? If you have some pigs, they're going to give birth to pigs. But you know what the textbooks say, folks? They say scientists test hypotheses by experimentation. I think we could do an experiment to show a reptile is going to give birth to a reptile. I believe we have experimentation to show that what the Bible says is in fact qualifying as science, not the other way around. Can you ever crossbreed an iguana and get an iguana fruit? That is not going to happen. And what's interesting is where it is available to have the testing now, there's no way it can ever happen. But people see something and they say, well, things changed over time and turned into something. Well, they believe it if they want. But the evidence confirms things stay what they are. That's all there is to it. And we met this fellow. You can go to NewEnglandReptilesNerd.com. It's pretty funny. But anyway, this guy's showing us this